Hello. Okay. So I wanted to talk about trauma and mental illness because I don't know. I feel like it's good to share what you learn, and maybe it could possibly help other people. I wrote some notes down to be all professional, but I'm really trying to help y'all out and just share what I've learned, what's worked with my personal experience and personal situation, but it's not going to be about me. It's going to be about the topic in general. All right, that's what this is. Starting with trauma I feel like is misunderstood a lot. I feel like a lot of people, when they think of trauma, they associate it immediately with post-traumatic stress disorder, when there are different levels of trauma and different ways that it impacts people. And I believe that trauma impacts literally everybody, or has impacted literally everybody in the world, or will. But on different scales. A lot of people aren't consciously aware of what even has traumatized them, or that they even were traumatized. And what I'm saying by traumatized, what I mean, my definition is something negative that has changed you, severe, and still severely impacts you in ways that you may not even know are unhealthy or negative, or caused by something. Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes. Yeah. Okay, so within your prime age of development, I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's ages 2 to 4 or 2 to 6. That's your prime ages of development, mental development. And what I mean by that is that's the prime age where you pick up who you become. You pick up your morals, your thought patterns, your behavioral patterns, whatever you witness within those ages is I want to say ingrained to you in a way. You are so malleable mentally at that age that every little thing can impact you in a way that you may realize or may not realize for the rest of your life if you do not acknowledge it, heal, move through it. Yeah. A lot of what is picked up, these morals, thought patterns, behavioral patterns, things like that, a lot of that is from what you live with, what your parental figures are like, or whatever figures that are close to you are like. You pick up on how people act and cope with themselves. And even if that's not unhealthy, since you're young, it's not something that you recognize. And a lot of people, as they get older, still don't recognize that's unhealthy. But yeah, you are impacted by our childhood in so many ways. If you didn't know this, I'm not an expert on anything, but I've done some research, and there's some things that I know for sure. And I for sure know that your childhood, your prime development ages, it is a lifelong. It is a lifelong, I guess, struggle. It's a lifelong thing inside of you, ingrained in you, that can dictate your actions a lot of the time. without you consciously being aware of it, if that makes sense. Right. And trauma can be naturally coped with by our brains. Obviously, there's a lot of different ways. It can be coped with naturally through any mental illness, really. It depends on your level of trauma, how your brain chemicals were impacted by the trauma, like the level of severity, if that makes sense, that it really impacted you. But yeah, the most common ones caused by trauma are like major depressive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, of course, depersonalization, dissociation, but it really could be a variety of mental illnesses. It varies person to person. Yeah, I'm literally like, I'm not trying to sound like I know everything, because like this is just stuff that I'm learning and trying to share, and I 100% recommend you do your own research, especially like catered towards your own situation and mental state. Yeah. There's also other methods to help with this. Like, honestly, the main thing is you need to sit down with yourself and start being conscious of your thought processes, of your behavioral patterns, and every day be conscious of the decisions you make, and really think, is this how I want to be making decisions? Is this what I believe in? Is this what I believe is right? Are any of these things unhealthy? You really just need to take time with yourself to really realize that. Some people, it's easier for them to like talk to someone about what's happening to them who knows a lot about this stuff, like a professional, like a therapist. So yeah, therapy I highly recommend if you're trying to find the root of unhealthy behavioral patterns or mental illness in general. Otherwise, medications work for some people. I can't say I've had lots of luck. I mean, they work for some people. Finding something within yourself, like your spirituality, your religion, like focusing on that can really help, of course. Yeah, you are conditioned whether you know it or not. Your brain, your thought processes, your actions, everything you do has something to do with what happened to you growing up. Like everything you strive to be, everything with your whole personality, it comes from what growing up, and it's still forming, and it can still be changed. But a lot of times we recreate lifestyles similar to our past traumas because it feels safe. And that's the main reason that I'm making this entire like Instagram TV whatever thing, like other than to help people because a lot of people don't realize that they've been through trauma, that they've been conditioned, or that they are living lifestyles that can be detrimental to mental health because it feels safe to them. Because what feels safe to us a lot of times is what we grew up with or what we were traumatized with in a way. In our own way, we a lot of times recreate those things. And I hope that this helps somebody. I have a lot of book recommendations, podcast recommendations, literally like TED Talks or YouTube videos, YouTube channels. If any of you are interested in any of those links or anything, just DM me and I'll send you. Otherwise, my number one book for just like educating yourself on trauma and dissociation, which is often caused by trauma, which almost everyone also experiences on one level or another. I really recommend this book. It's called The Stranger in the Mirror, Dissociation, the Hidden Epidemic. It's by Marlene Steinberg. It's a really good book. Really, really, really good. I've read it a lot of times. Yeah. I mean, and if you're struggling with it, this is good to educate yourself, to help people who are struggling, or if you're struggling yourself. Like, I highly recommend this with trauma or depersonalization or mental illness in general. Yeah, really good book for trauma type learning. Otherwise, if you're into like reading more about personal experience and like learning through a first-hand person's actual like diary, literally, of having gone through trauma and mental illness, that I think is really entertaining, because this one is written by a doctor. This is all like facts, like, you know, this, if you're interested in more like a narrative, I guess you would say. Wow, my hair is really not feeling this today. This is my favorite book ever, Diary of a Teenage Girl by Phoebe Glockner. This book, it's also a movie, but the movie nowhere near as good as the book. Don't recommend. I mean, you should definitely watch the movie too, but the book you need to read first. It's basically a girl growing up who experiences a lot of trauma and mental illness that she doesn't recognize, and you can, and as it's a diary, you can like see how it's affecting her and how her life changes. It's just really cool. And she published this book as an adult, looking back on her diary. So I don't know, I think that's super cool. And it has a lot to do with like mental illness, abuse, trauma, drug abuse, drug issues as well. We're trying to read that. Otherwise, this book, The House on Mango Street. Literally, my friend Alyssa sent this to me. It's beautifully written, and I feel like in a way it would help someone understand what trauma like really can be, even though that's not the main focus of the book at all. Like, I've seen patterns in it that are like, yeah, I think it could help someone understand like trauma without knowing it's trauma. So yeah, that's all I gotta say for this. I'm trying to make some more of these Instagram TVs of me just talking about things. I am not an expert. I'm not an expert. Please don't take something I say as like mental health advice. Well, please don't take it as like an expert's advice. Take it with a grain of salt. Do your own research. 100% do your own research. But yeah, I hope this helps someone. Hit me up if you want links to podcasts, videos that have to do with this type of thing, or if there's anything else that you want me to talk about in these. I think in my next one I want to talk about like spirituality in specific. Yeah, maybe like Wicca type thing, or just spirituality and religion as a whole. If that's interesting, I don't know what's interesting. I just like to share what I learn, and a lot of times I don't have someone to talk to, so I hope this helps someone. Message me. up.